In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace be upon you, and may the mercy and blessings of Allah be with you. Greetings of prosperity, greetings of Malaysia Madani, and greetings from IPGM, pioneer of world-class teacher education. We gather here where innovation gleams to harness AI for academic dreams, a shared discourse, a forward thinking space to elevate research with newfound grace. The esteemed Dr. Masita bin Muhammad Yusof, Director, Institute of Teacher Education, Malay Language Campus, the respected Dr. Ghazali bin Ismail, Deputy Director, Institute of Teacher Education, Malay Language Campus, the respected Dr. Nurul Rabiha binti Matno, Head of Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, Malay Language Campus, to all esteemed heads of departments, speakers, lecturers, students, teachers, and online viewers whom I deeply respect. Praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for by His will, we are able to be together for the Institute of Teacher Education Malay Language Campus's international webinar series, Artificial Intelligence or AI in Educational Research this evening. Esteemed online audience, ladies and gentlemen, this forum is organized by the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, Malay Language Campus. And the objective of the forum today is to explore how artificial intelligence or AI can be strengthened for the good quality of educational research. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our live discussion on the title for today, which is Navigating AI in Educational Research, from Tools to Ethical Practices, streaming to you on YouTube from YouTube IPGKBM, and we are thrilled to have you join us today. I am your moderator, Technologist Memang Sayuti Khalid, and we have three distinguished experts with us. First, we have Professor Jennifer Smith-Mary, an expert in policy and service development. Next is Professor Dr. Nur Hizam Safi bin Muhammad Sattar, an expert in information and communication technology. And finally, we have Dr. Muhammad Hafiz bin Mat Hanif, who specializes in educational technology. So we would like to welcome all our esteemed speakers.
Thank you.
Okay, hello, Prof. Jennifer. Hello, Prof. Nurhizam. And hello to Dr. Hafiz. Assalamualaikum. Okay.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Before we begin the forum, I'd like to share a brief biography of our panelists. There are amazing people here, and it's going to be a little bit long. Okay, so for our first panelist, Professor Jennifer Smith-Mary, she's an Australian Industry Laureate Fellow from 2024 to 2029 at the University of Sydney, where she also serves as a Professor of Health and Social Policy. Until December 2024, she was the director of Center for Disability Research and Policy, a multidisciplinary center dedicated to improving the lives of people with disability through research and policy translation. She now leads the center's Disability Inclusive Policy Development research stream. Okay, Professor Jennifer holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Social Policy from the University of Queensland. Her research expertise lies in social policy, focusing on policy and service development in disability and mental health. She is a renowned researcher who has secured over 27 million in grant funding as a chief investigator on more than 50 grants. A key aspect of her work is her commitment to incorporating the expertise of people with lived experience of disability and mental ill health in service development, policy, and research. On her publication, it includes over 100 peer-reviewed articles and 50 reports for government and other funders. She led the development of the influential Mind the Gap report, which highlighted significant problems within the National Disability Insurance Scheme, or NDIS, for people with a psychosocial disability. Her extensive list of publications includes numerous book chapters and articles in journals such as the Medical Journal of Australia and BMJ Open, solidifying her reputation as a top expert. For another speaker, our Professor Dr. Nur Hizam Safi bin Muhammad Sattar is the Dean of the Faculty of Information Science and Technology at UKM, a position he has held since January 2023. His career at UKM began in 2016 as an associate professor, culminating in his appointment as professor, special grade C, on September 11, 2024. His extensive academic background includes a PhD in Management Information Systems and a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, both from the International Islamic University of Malaysia. Additionally, he holds a Master of Business Administration from Anglia Ruskin University in the UK and a Master of Information Technology from UKM. A recognized expert in digital transformation. His research domains include business process management, e-learning, and technology acceptance model. Professor Dr. Nur Hizam has a strong record of leadership, having secured grant funding as a chief investigator on more than 10 grants. His professional skills extend to consultancy in areas like project management, enterprise architecture, and data integration policy. With over 100 peer-reviewed publications and 50 reports, he is a prolific contributor to his field. Professor Dr. Nur Hizam is a sought-after keynote speaker and has participated in numerous expert panels at national and international forums. So we are lucky to have him here. He has also served as consultant for various government ministries in Malaysia, demonstrating his deep expertise in applying his research to practical policy and project initiatives. And finally, we have Dr. Muhammad Hafiz bin Muhammad Hanif, a senior lecturer from Faculty of Human Development, Sultan Idris Education University, or UPSI. Dr. Hafiz studied at MPSAH UPSI and earned a BEd TESOL degree. He received a master's in instructional technology from University Malaya, and that was the chance that I had meeting him. It was in 2007, right, Dr. Hafiz? And completed his PhD in education from Warwick University. Dr. Muhammad Hafiz is a professional with a diverse skill set. He currently holds position as the Chief Technology Officer at Siaga X Group and Director of Strategic at MAPIM Malaysia, a self-taught full-stack JavaScript developer. He has developed several significant projects, including the Siaga X Bencana Disaster Intelligence Platform. I've been following him on Facebook about this, and a web application that provides live updates on disasters in Malaysia, and the Ummah Today mobile app, a lifestyle app for Muslim developed for MAPIM Malaysia. He also contributed to Warwick University's research initiatives by developing the People's History of the NHS website. Okay, so Dr. Muhammad Hafiz's achievements have been recognized through awards such as the King Scout Award in 2001 and the Silver Award at the Seoul International Invention Fair in 2020 for a learning analytics web app. He's also a Google certified trainer and a Google Cloud innovator. So those are our esteemed speakers for today. So thank you all for joining us this evening. It's a privilege to have such a distinguished group with us today. Our discussion will explore how AI is transforming educational research and the ethical considerations we must address. We have prepared a few questions to guide our discussions. Okay, and the discussion will be in two rounds, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of second round discussion. Let's begin with our first round of questions, alternating between our esteemed panelists. We will begin with a question for our first panelist. For you, Professor Jennifer Smith-Mary. Hello, Prof. Okay, so the question is, Prof, your expertise in policy and service development is crucial to our conversation today. Many findings show that offers great benefits. I've been following the development of AI, and for today alone, I think there are more than 5 updates that, for instance, Google have been sharing with us in education. So AI offers great benefits to science and society, but ethical issues such as bias and transparency are often raised. In your opinion, how can the research community control AI bias without compromising its innovative potential? So,
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this session this afternoon. I've had a long-standing, very happy and heartfelt relationship with my colleagues in Malaysia and my friends in Malaysia over the course of my entire life, actually. So it's always lovely to participate in something in Malaysia. I'll just tell you a little bit about the context of my research in education research, because I didn't put it in my bio, which was a very long bio. I felt embarrassed listening to it. But I have conducted quite a bit of research relating to education around people with disability in Australia. So my research is focused on how the government in Australia supports children with disability within schools, and then how people with disability are supported post-school in order to access vocational education in order to go into the job market. So that's the context of my work in educational research. Now, this is AI is very interesting in relation to the topic of disability in general. It's also very interesting in relation to the topic of academic research. And in fact, my husband the other day sent me an article which had the list of jobs that were most threatened by AI, and academic research was on that list. And I was like, no, I'm way too important to be outdone by AI. However, I think some of the problems are around the information that AI draws upon to make its to provide the information that you receive when you put in a request. So it's AI is conservative in that it's backward looking. It only looks at information that already exists. And as we know, for people with disability, there's a great deal of stigma in society, and a lot of the information that already exists maybe underestimates the abilities of people with disability. So a lot of the information is about challenges of people with disability. It's about often about information that might be negative towards disability, and it's about a lack of, I suppose, existing opportunities around disability. The problem then comes when you put the information into AI, and I'll give you an example. If I was going to, in relation to my research on post-secondary school education for employment for people with disability. Now, if I was going to say what sort of jobs, if I was going to type in what sort of jobs should we be training people with disability for? We know, because there's existing research, that the information that you will get out will not have very high expectations for people with disability. So we'll tend to say, oh, you can expect a job, a very menial job like a cleaner or a road worker, sweeper, someone who maybe sells things on the street. It doesn't have very high expectations for people with disability. And that's because the stigma in society means that mainly people with disability do get those jobs. But that doesn't mean that they're the only jobs that they can get. But if I was designing an educational program with the idea that it was going to get people with disability into jobs, then the information it might provide to me might train people for those types of very low status positions. So there's an inherent bias there in the information that is provided, and it doesn't say to people with disability, you can have a career, or you can be a professor, or you can be a doctor. We know that people with disability do have those jobs. It's just that they're not common jobs for people with disability. So it's looking for the massive information that's out there, and it's putting together that massive information, but it's not thinking about the possibilities, and it's not aiming very high. So how do we address that in the way that we design AI? One way is by so there's two ways. So one is that we educate people better about disability in general, so that they're putting in the right search terms. Because, if you put in search terms into AI searches and it doesn't come up with the information you want, you can put in a further search term that might make it work a bit better. It's important that we educate people about the limits of AI, so that they might put in search terms that are going to allow them to find a variety of information about people that I think addresses some of those biases. The other way is for governments or non-government organisations to create their own information sources that can be fed into AI to improve the information that comes out of it. So you can have closed AI systems where you're really directing the information that is provided and goes in and that you're searching from. So that's a way of, I think, progressing some of these known problems around the biases of AI. I'm going to finish my comment there, but I'd welcome any follow-up questions or any comments, other comments that you might like to ask me about to look at those issues a little bit further. So I'll pass back over to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So what I can conclude from what Prof has said is that human loop is important in when we are talking about bias in AI, because when we talk about human loop, that it would be we are putting context into what AI knows. Okay, so and it is significant for us to prepare the privileged people for the AI usage in terms of putting context and human loop, so that we will not have bias in research or in education. I think that's right, Prof? Okay, so if you have any question to the audience, you can put in the chat of what you are concerned with when you're talking about people with disability. So I guess we go to the next speaker, Prof. Dr. Nur Hizam. For Prof. Dr. Nur Hizam, as a leading expert in information and communication technology. So I would like to ask you questions on the perspective that is vital for Malaysia's digital transformation, because with what is happening around us with AI that is actually becoming ubiquitous. Of course, organizations, especially educational organization, will have to be prepared in transforming their workforce. Okay, so Professor, in the context of Malaysia, which is currently driving digital transformation, how can AI help improve innovation in educational research in line with the Sustainable Development Goal Agenda and Pendidikan Madani? Okay. But over to you, Prof. Okay, I'll put in the question again. In the context of Malaysia, which is currently driving digital transformation, how can AI help improve innovation in educational research in line with Sustainable Development Goal and Pendidikan Madani? Since Okay, since Prof Nurhizam he is actually on the go. So are you with
Can
us,
you
Prof?
hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we
yes,
can.
yes. I can hear you. Okay.
Yes, we can. So over to you, Prof.
Yeah. Okay. The innovation is crucial.
Okay, I guess we have a little bit of challenges for the internet, I guess. Some technical issue here.
Can you hear again?
Okay, yes, Prof.
Hello. Can,
Yes, yes, we can hear you well.
this time around.
Mm.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, sorry for the.
I think it's happening again. Are you with us, Prof Nurhizam? Okay. I think we'll try to keep the question first, and we'll go to Dr. Hafiz for now. Then we'll go back to Dr. Prof Nurhizam after this. Is that okay, Dr. Hafiz?
Yeah, sure, inshallah. I'll try my
Okay.
best.
Okay. So the question that we have for Dr. Muhammad Hafiz, from the perspective of educational technology, how can AI help young researchers or postgraduate students conduct their studies more efficiently? Okay, this is very specific for postgraduate studies. So over to you, Dr. Hafiz.
Thank you, thank you. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. About the question of how AI can help researchers, young researchers especially, and the postgraduate students navigating their study. Before answering that question, I would like to share with all of you, the viewers and the panelists, a little bit about what am I doing right now. I'm currently on a 3-year secondment project. So UPSI has sent me into the industry to learn more about project planning, project management, looking into how crowdfunding works, and that's why I am attached to an NGO here in Malaysia called MAPIM, Majlis Perundingan Pertubuhan Islam Malaysia. And what we have been doing for the past nearly 3 years, because my secondment will end around mid-September. So very close, very close. So we've done a lot of projects, and AI has been part of what we use here in MAPIM. And we've done a lot of things, a lot of projects. The recent one, if you guys are aware, we had a mass gathering at the Dataran Merdeka for Himpunan Sumut Nusantara. Now, that was us, along with other NGOs. And currently we have approximately 30-ish Malaysians are currently on board ships and vessels towards Gaza for these global Sumut flotilla. And I hope that they have all of your prayers for the safety and also success for the mission, inshallah. So coming back or double down to the question, so how AI can help researchers, especially young researchers and postgraduate students doing their study. What I can outline, and I will interlace these points with some of the examples that I myself personally has undergone. There are four main points that I would like to highlight. The how AI can help. First, as a scaffolder. Second, as the metacognitive mirror. Third will be the equalizer, and the fourth will be the learning assessor. So let me break it down topic by topic. So the first being the scaffolder. So AI as a scaffolding tool for research, for doing research, for doing any studies, not just educational studies. I would like to pinpoint one of the theories that are usually underpins what we talk, or when we talk about education, especially the zone of proximal development, ZPD. I hope that all the viewers out there, and I believe all, if not most of you, have a background in education. So ZPD, the Zone of Proximal Development by Lev Vygotsky, won't be alien to you, the theory. So basically, it tells us, that there's a theory that we as a human being learn bit by bit, and we have a zone whereby there are knowledge that are too far for us to fetch and learn, but there are nodes and points of knowledge that are quite near for us to make a connection, connecting the dots, so to speak, and to learn and expand our knowledge. So that is basically my dumbed down what do you call this definition of ZPD. So how ZPD comes into picture when we talk about AI as a scaffolding tool. So when we interact with AI, most of us might use AI as a learning partner. So that is where the scaffolding happens. So we have an AI. It's basically a large language model that has access to a large data set of language, and they dictate, or they they output the answers to our prompts with uh, you know using high probabilistic calculations, statistical calculations to imitate what humans might probably spout or speak in a conversation. I think we are not that alien to systems like AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT. For Google, we have Gemini. We have also DeepSeek and few other chat agents that we've probably been using, or we have been using some other systems, but those systems, the under the hood, so to speak, are using APIs to fetch the data and responses from these LLMs. So when we interact with AI tools such as, let's say, ChatGPT, we can use AI as a scaffolding tool. We know that when we do a research, there are a lot of knowledge gaps that we have. Like, for example, in MAPIM, we can sometimes we have knowledge gap in terms of how to actually measure the impact, the social impact of one particular what we call this project, like humanitarian project. How can we actually calculate, or how can we approach counting or measuring the impact of, let's say, distributing 8 boxes in Gaza, for example? How can we actually quantify that impact? So, AI can expedite this and can be a scaffolding tool to address the knowledge gap that we have in terms of anything in your research, in your study. So this act as an adaptive tutor for us. So that's one way of looking at how AI can help us as a researcher or postgraduate student doing our study. The second item that I would like to expand is the metacognitive mirror. So as we progress along with doing our research, forming our proposal, looking into the literature review, we can also use AI as a tool for metacognition agent, meaning we can interact with the AI in a way that allow us to think about our thinking, to think about our decision, to think about or to reflect or to analyze uh, about our something that we are not really sure about. Like, for example, after we've read through all of the literature and the methodology books, and we found a very niche area, a very interesting part of the research of the topic, and we would like to hear a third party, or a different voice commenting on that particular idea. So apart from, I'm not saying that the research advisor, the supervisor will be replaced. Might probably, I'm not sure, but you can always use AI as a third source of voice in terms of you in your research journey, to reflect on what kind of the pathway, the how are you going to go about it. Like, for example, in my in the days of me doing a PhD, uh, believe it or not, it's a very lonely journey, in even though there are a lot of PhD students who are with me. It was a lonely journey in respect to the thing that I was doing. I did it alone. It's not just it's not about we are a PhD students together. There are overlaying or underlying or overlapping, sorry, areas of PhD study journey, but mainly it's about you and your research. So apart from interacting with my supervisor, well, I didn't have AI access when I did my PhD, but I really hope that I had, and so that it's just that I can have a third person or a fourth person looking into my decision as to why I choose this path, or why I choose this methodology, why this methodology is good for me, and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, AI can be a metacognition mirror for you as a researcher. The third point that I would like to stress on is AI as an equalizer, because AI, if today you open a Google search and you type in AI tool for research, there are a lot of tools, AI tools out there that have been designed to to democratize access to what do you call this, high quality of analysis. So I can't really name systems that I've used before on top of my head right now, but there are a lot of AI powered research tool out there that has not been available before this. I really hope that these tools were available when I did my PhD. But it wasn't. But yeah, right now you have an access to tools and analysis tools that can analyze uh, you know sorry uh, to analyze what do you call this, research and findings, or probably doing a literature review. You will have access to tools that might probably years ago only available to Ivy Leagues universities only, probably, I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, right now it's possible for you guys to actually have that high quality analysis tool in your fingertips. And the last point that I would like to share with you is AI as a learning assessor. So a lot of AI tools out there right now are have been updated to have memory on its own. So let's say we'll talk about ChatGPT. ChatGPT has memory to understand you and to save and to understand your preference in terms of either who you are or what kind of style of responses that you would like to have and things like that. So as an AI, it can help you, probably look into your learning path and look back at your growth and identify your strength and your weaknesses. So I've been using an AI tool for programming called cursor.com, if I'm not mistaken, was the website. So Cursor is basically an integrated development environment which is powered by AI agents. So this AI agent, I usually interact with it, and one of the things that I do when I bumped into errors, newsflash, AI also spout or output errors. So don't be too reliant on AI output. So you need to understand what you expect the answer, and then to be critical of those responses. So this cursor, when I bump into a behavior that is not needed, or it's too flamboyant for a programming approach, I would tell the AI to remember that you should not do this and this and this. So the AI has some sort of like a memory, uh, and after I've sent that prompt, the system will output a dialog box for confirmation, saying that okay, I let's say the statement would be revolving around, I've taken note that in the future I will not do this. Please confirm this. So AI now, right now, a lot of the systems have memories and to store your preferences, and you can use this as a leverage for looking back at your own learning pathway, learning process, and to understand where is your current strengths and weaknesses. So those are the what I can share with you, the four main, what do you call this, points of how AI can help researchers and postgraduates navigating your study, inshallah. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hafiz, for the insights. I think one of the issue that we have, especially for postgraduate now, would be giving AI to do the complete work of the research, right? And in that, we have a challenge in terms of recognizing GOT, graduate on time, because many will be able to graduate on time because they give their work to AI. Okay, so thank you for the input on the four things that AI can we can leverage AI in our research. That is the scaffolding, the zone of proximal development by Vygotsky, and the metacognitive, which actually we are indirectly talking about higher order thinking skill and beyond that, because we are thinking about thinking. Okay, so we let AI do the lower thinking skills like the C1 until C3 that we have in Bloom's taxonomy. So I agree on that actually. And you talk about the equalizer, having AI as the equalizer, which also we are actually referring to personalization in learning. Okay, and also as a learning assessor. So we are actually moving towards a future where we have to be prepared and we have to be able to transform our teaching and learning practices in schools, just like what Professor Jennifer said just now. It should be inclusive, right, Prof? That everybody should go in, and equity is actually very important in preventing biasness in research. Okay, so we have our Professor Nur Hizam back, and since his Professor Nur Hizam will be talking about digital transformation. So in the context of Malaysia, again, I will ask the question. Actually, AI in our current situation right now, and since we are talking about digital transformation, how can AI help improve innovation in educational research in line with Sustainable Development Goal Agenda and Pendidikan Madani? Because we are talking about equity, we are talking about nobody should be left behind, we are talking about closing the gaps or connecting the dots. So over to you, Prof. Nur Hizam.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, basically, yeah, thanks a lot for the question. Basically, in the context,
I think we are having a technical problem again on the other end. So, Prof?
because
Okay,
I can hear your side.
okay. So, you can continue, Prof.
But continue, nobody can hear me. Nobody can.
It's okay, Prof. We will wait because I think it's quite intermittent.
Oh, intermittent, eh?
Hmm.
I see.
But you just can
Okay,
continue, Prof.
let's. Okay. Let me try again. Uh, okay. This innovation is
Okay, we have again the technical problem. I guess we'll just continue and
continue with Prof. Jenny lah. Then I
okay,
can
Prof.
join later, please.
Can you switch off the camera? Maybe that will be good. Will be better for the accessibility.
Okay. Okay. Can you now?
Yes.
Again.
Or what we can do is we can continue with what we are going to discuss, and then we'll let Prof. Nurhizam be the last speaker in the second round, so that he will have more time to talk. Okay, so I guess we will continue with the Professor Jennifer for the second round. All right. Okay. So, Prof. Jennifer, the question is, how can we balance the use of AI as a powerful data analysis tool with the need to maintain a human touch in educational research? Over to you, Prof.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for also picking up that point about needing to be more human in the way that we interact with AI, that the human dimension is really important. And you picked that up after my comments on the first round. And I think that's absolutely important. I think it's important for the way that we use AI to make decisions about people, about students, and we consider the person that is both inputting data into AI and the person that's receiving the data, and also the person that you're trying to get information in order to support someone else. So what are we doing with that data, and how is it impacting on an individual? So AI is something that just to pick up another point in terms of educational research with PhD students that was being discussed earlier, I find that it's an important leveler for students that may, for example, have disability and therefore have language problems. So the use of AI in programs in order to support someone in their writing is really, really valuable and can help to level out the difference for students that may have dyslexia, or even students that are from that do not have the same language background. Being able to use AI enables us as the reader or us as the educator to see beyond the grammatical problems in a student's work to the knowledge that lies beyond. I think you've probably all had the experience, like I have, at receiving a piece of work from a student and then being very frustrated at all the grammatical errors in it, feeling really frustrated and sort of getting caught up on the grammatical errors, and then not having enough time to really think about the substance of what a student is talking about. But AI helps us with that type of communication, and in a way then it's an accessibility tool for knowledge that provides greater access to knowledge and greater access to people transmitting their knowledge to others. And that's a great leveler, I think, in terms of knowledge. In terms, back to your question though, about how we use AI as a data analysis tool in education research and how we maintain a human touch. I'm going to provide an example of a piece of work that I've done within my research team recently, and that was a very, very large systematic review that we were doing on a topic that was about the types of supports you might put in place to support people with disability. That research, so it was a systematic review. We were getting all the research from multiple different fields, and it was research that involved data and statistics, but it was also research that involved interviews, and it was research that drew on like analyses of policy documents or analyses of other papers that were out there. So it was a whole big range of research, and it was a very, very large data set to go through as a team, which would take people a very long time that wouldn't let us, I think, have enough time to do some of the analysis that we wanted to do. So with the support of AI, one of my senior researchers developed a prompt where we could use AI as a second reviewer for our papers. So what happened was we would one of us, so we got AI we looked through all the papers to see if they were relevant. And then we got AI to draw important information off the papers for every single paper that we had. And there were hundreds of papers. And then we, I suppose, used them as the primary researcher, that then as a secondary researcher, a member of our team went through and checked that data. So we ended up having a second reviewer that was AI and also a human reviewer. So we checked that they were getting off the right information, that it wasn't creating what we call hallucinations in AI, making stuff up about what was in the data. It was really interesting process because it helped us to understand what AI could and couldn't do in that type of data analysis. What we found was it was really good at drawing off information like authors' names, titles, population groups, abstracts, place of publication, those types of things. It was really good at finding the key messages from papers that use statistics or quantitative papers, where it was very clear what the research question was and what the answers were and what the methods were that were used. It was really, really bad at qualitative research. It was really bad at understanding what the main points were of research that involved interviews or focus groups or observations. It could not find that information in the paper, and it would give you random things. So it would give you things that were not actually the findings of the paper. And it was pretty good at finding limitations and those types of things. So where there was a clear heading, and that was really useful. So what did it tell us? It told us that you cannot do away with the human dimension when you're doing this type of data analysis, because a lot of that type of more subtle experiential knowledge that we get from doing interviews with people or really understanding a person's experience, it wasn't really able to pick that up. Now, in the future, it might be able to, because we know that AI is developing at a very fast pace. So it might be able to do that in the future. But as researchers, we had to really critically think about the limits of AI for the research that we were doing. And I suppose that's another element of the human dimension. I think it was what I was getting at in my previous comment too, was to really understand the limits of the tool that we were using. That AI is a tool for research, but it comes with significant limitations depending on the type of research that you're doing. So in terms of your question, I think that we balance it through not doing away with the human element, that we include a human element alongside the use of AI in data analysis, and that we educate ourselves about the limitations of the types of tools that we're using in research. I think it's really also important that we spend time as researchers, that we take the time to really understand AI. So I think a lot of people do not use AI in a clever way that can make their jobs more easy in research, that we're a bit stuck in our ways. So we work within universities. Universities have pretty similar ways of doing things to what we had in the 1970s. And that we find it very difficult. We're quite rigid in the way that we do things. I think we need to take time, all of us, maybe every week, even just for half an hour, to try and use AI better, to try and use it in our work to understand how we can work with it. And I think particularly the older ones amongst us, I think it's harder for us to be flexible around our ways of working. But I think it's really important that we make that effort to do that.
Okay, so Um, okay, so I thought that. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I agree with you because there are so many things that we need to change when it comes in terms of using AI in research. For instance, maybe we are still talking about the human touch and the human look. It's like when we want to get something from AI, we shouldn't be giving them only generic in prompting, okay? Because the prompt should be very descriptive. In order for you to give a descriptive prompt, you will have to have the knowledge of the field, like
Yeah.
in research. Yes? Okay.
Yes,
And from
that's
there,
right.
we.
And I think also, maybe refine it, spend a long time refining the prompts. So the
Yeah.
prompts are something that you have to spend time on, just like you'd train a research assistant. You need to train AI as a research assistant. Hopefully it'll be a bit quicker, but you need to spend time training your AI research assistant.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that the advantage that I can see from using AI in research is to cut down all those probably technical or routine work that involve researching. Okay, like for instance, maybe we don't really have to put in the data entry. We can ask AI to do that for us. So we will do what Dr. Hafiz says as the metacognition. And like what we are dealing with right now, when we have a lot of vast information, that like the big data, that one will involve another thinking about the analysis. So it's like meta-analysis. So probably the research that we have right now should be more of a meta-analysis research. Then it can be something that we leverage from AI and can give us benefits. Okay. So the point that you're talking about hallucination too, that we need to be able to identify what type of AI that we want to use for our research. Okay. And there's a lot of things that we need to transform ourselves when using AI. So I guess I'll go to the next question, which I will give to Dr. Muhammad Hafiz. It concerns about the generations and what Professor Jennifer said about generation gaps between the veteran researchers or the senior researchers. Since we come from uh, Generation X and the new generation, like the Generation Alpha, will need us to be in this situation where we research on them so that we can give whatever relevant for their needs, their current needs. So, in your opinion, Dr. Hafiz, what new skills are needed for the next generation of researchers to ensure that they are not just users of AI, but also wise critics of AI's analytical results? Over to you.
All right, thank you. So from that question, we can really pull out the keywords there. Not just the AI as an interaction agent, but also doing a critical work with it. So, continuing from what Professor Jennifer has shared with us just now, I would like to extend a bit on the how or what kind of skills that researchers, not necessarily, next generation researchers, we as a researcher now can also, adopt and adapt some of these skills. That I think will not be too hard with in a hope that with the AI as an assistant, it will expedite the closing of the gap in the ZPD. All right. Okay. So few things that I would like to highlight. The skills that we need right now is to have critical AI literacy. So what it meant by having a critical AI literacy is that we should understand how AI works. Like for example, AI, what we are doing right now or using right now, the Chat GPT, the Gemini, they're all essentially a large language model. Basically, this is my version of dumbed down, definition of LLM. Is they have a huge data set of language or words, and based on our prompt, they will arrange those words based on the topic that we prompted them, arrange the words with the highest probability of what word should comes next. So that is basically an LLM. So that's why in my work, in my line of work in MAPIM, I usually use AI just for authoring, for writing up my ideas. Ideas comes from me. I am the originator of the ideas. So this is something, a mindset that we or you need to have. We need to have when we interact with AI. AI shouldn't be, the one spouting or coming out or generating with ideas, and we 100% take rely on that. No, it shouldn't be that. uh, my the I think within 1 year of interacting with AI, the largest type of use of AI tools, like for example ChatGPT and Gemini, for me is for them to generate beautiful verses, paragraphs of based on the points that I've given them. So I've generated this. I'm still holding the record of coming out with a proposal for a humanitarian project in under 30 minutes. The long story short, there is an ad hoc meeting that we had here in MAPIM HQ, and my boss wanted to have a paper that will be presented in that meeting. Then that meeting will commence within that 30 minutes, and he just briefly said to me, I need to have this paper based on this project, and these are the points, and this is the amount of funding that we require. So based on those points, and with the help of AI, that at that time I was using ChatGPT, I managed to come up with a very sound proposal in under 30 minutes, because I know the points. I've already know what it should be written and how the structure of the proposal should be, and I just use AI to write down the points properly. Yeah. So that is me being critical in terms of the AI use in my line of work. So AI, you need to understand that there are data set biases. Some of the data sets that are used in the AI have their own, no, it's not something that is neutral. That what we need to understand, and we need to have a filter on. Like for example, what Prof Jennifer said early on, when she prompted about the job that is much suitable for so people with disability, and the result showed very skewed kind of like answers and response to it. So that shows just small portion of the biases in the data set that has been used to train the LLM. So in that kind of perspective, we should not view AI as a one-click wonder tool. It's just this is a very what do you call this, famous or overly used phrase in among educational technology. Technology is just a tool. So that concept still holds until today. technologies, as I told, AI, usually always work with limited data. So that like ChatGPT, OpenAI, it is being modeled by a data set which is very limited. It doesn't have all the knowledge that the world has, right? And when we interact with AI, always remember to give them the contextual data of what you are going to do. Like, for example, when I want to develop a system using Cursor AI, I always tell them or very write a very long brief of the project. I will write a very long guideline of the project, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I also write a documentation of how the system, I want the system to behave. Like, for example, the back end, the front end, the interaction and things like that. Those I've prepared beforehand and saved it in the AI memory. So always and every time when I prompt the AI in the cursor, they will use those documents as a reference. To what do you call this, to minimize the hallucination that AI often experience or output. Okay, so that is critical AI literacy. The second skill that I would like to highlight is the triangulation mindset. Yeah, so do not rely only on AI output. And this you can do if and only if you understand and you understand what to expect. So to understand what to expect in terms of the response from the AI, you need to understand the general or the what do you call this, the knowledge that you are expecting to receive from the AI. So be gentle with AI, but at the same time, do not rely too much on their output, especially when you do not provide them with contextual data. You don't provide them with rules. You just ask them an open-ended question, so they can, from that point of from that point onwards, they can have a multitude of trajectory of the type of responses that they have. So limit it down to things that you expect. So do fact checks if the and this happened really often when I tried to use ChatGPT in its earlier version to write a literature review section. So what happened was I prompted the AI, and it spouted a very beautiful section, chapter 2 of the literature review, with a lot of references and quotes and things like that. When you read it, it has a very wonderful flow of thoughts, of ideas and supporting ideas and things like that. But when I tried to triangulate and check whether or not this paper or that paper exists, also almost 95% of the references list is a made up list. Yes, but this happened in a much earlier version of AI. I
Yeah.
mean ChatGPT. I think they have improved it, and they have a feature called deep research. I haven't really triangulated that yet, and I hope that they really nail that down, that features down, because if they've nailed that deep research functionality, mirroring the the actual research that from the research database, like for example from the what do you call this, Scopus, ISI, and things like that. Then our job as a researcher can be automated a bit. All right, okay. And always have some or a bit of skepticism in terms of, when you read the responses from the AI, you always ask yourself, is this correct? Is this something that is, is this a fact, or is this something that, again, AI is hallucinating? You need to have that, a degree of skepticism there when you always interact with AI. The next point that I would like to highlight is to have the skill, what I call the pedagogical prompting. So we know prompt, and in the age of AI, many people talks about prompting, prompt engineering, and things like that. Yeah, as a part of prompt engineering, we need to also have pedagogical prompting skill, where we understand how to actually teach AI in terms of what kind of output that you want, you know.
Mm. Mm.
So I think there are a lot of tutorials out there that you can adopt and adapt to your specific needs. And when you understand how to actually curate a proper prompt, it really helps you to trim out, those noisy responses that are not really relevant or related to what you want, to really hone it down and pinpoint to the exact things that you want. So that is why prompt engineering and pedagogical prompting is important. Do not let the AI guide you. So, and the last bit that I would like to share the skill for the, researchers like us is, uh, the skill of collaborative intelligence and metacognitive reflection. Again, yeah, it's all about, having a very critical perspective in dealing or in interacting with AI. So AI, we understand that it's a very wonderful tool. It can automate a lot of things. It can output us, help us in a lot of different tasks. But at the same time, we need to understand it's just a tool. It's just a tool. It can make mistakes. In my experience, when developing systems, I have numerous times scolded the AI. I'm not apologetic of it. Yeah, because I was hoping to get a very specific, output, but it, jumps around and, running around the bush and things like that. Then I had to say, okay, stop. Okay, please do a deep analysis of the current code base and project directory, and understand the current status of the system, and do not go and proceed with any further coding. I find myself doing that, or prompting that a lot of time. Yeah, and that is an example, just an example, a personal example of my experience interacting with AI. So we know AI can do a lot of things, a lot of stuff, a lot of beautiful things. It can create a website, a very beautiful functional website, in just, let's say, 30 minutes. But at the same time, we need to understand that the AI struggles with a lot of, really detailed analysis, things that, need also, still need human touch. They still need human touch. It needs to be AI plus human output. Yeah. So do not just rely on AI. Have a metacognitive mind and skill ready when you're interacting with AI. So I think those are the, among the skills that are needed, not just for the new generation, but also us as a generation that are, showing the roads and ropes for the coming generation. Yeah, and I think that would really sum up my points. for
Okay.
this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hafiz. Listening to Dr. Hafiz, it reminded me that AI can be like the genie in Aladdin. You know, the story of Aladdin. So we tell them what to do. Sometimes they can be very foolish. Okay, and in terms of hallucination, my experience looking into ChatGPT, there was one prompt that I learned from somewhere, I can't remember, that you have to put a sort of like a temperature in the thermometer when you are prompting. So if you want the AI to be creative, the degree of thermometer should be hot. Then it become very creative. Sometimes the way we talk to AI and the AI that we choose is actually giving us the result of what we want. So what I mean is, if you choose an AI for creative writing, you should be cautious when you are talking about research with that type of AI like ChatGPT. So probably we can find the AI meant for research. Okay, but what I like about your sharing, Dr. Hafiz, is the triangulation mindset. If you look at what we have been discussing since 2:30 just now, that actually triangulation mindset is one of the skill that we need to have. That is what we call as the meta analysis, metacognitive, um, where we shouldn't be relying only in one at one source or one mode or one approach. It has to be triangulated in terms of when we want to find something that is true and beneficial to the community. So I think I'm going to use your triangulation mindset after this with my student. Okay, so far, welcome back, Prof. Nurhizam. It has been very challenging for you, right, Prof?
Yeah, yeah. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, yes, very clear.
Okay, wonderful. I'm so sorry about that because just now the VC office called me for urgent meeting. That's it's
It
okay,
proves
no
that
problem.
it
Yeah.
proves that although you are on the go, you are still contributing, and
Yes, definitely.
in more context, it shows that anywhere we are or everywhere we are will be able to share thoughts on academics. Okay, so I have compiled your question into one, and it has something to do with sustainable development goal and what we have in Malaysia as Madani. And one of the part of Madani is actually having to become creative, not only creative in terms of innovation, but creative in terms of giving information, meaningful knowledge to the society. So let me rephrase this. First is the digital transformation, Prof.
Yeah.
What do you think that in transforming the digital methods or approaches that we have right now that can help with SDG agenda and Pendidikan Madani. And as we are doing that, how can we address the issues on ethics of artificial intelligence in research? Because in UNESCO, we have ethics for artificial intelligence, but I'm not sure in Malaysia whether we have a guideline for research when you are using AI. Okay, so how can Malaysia lead or adapt international ethical codes to the local context, especially for the field of education? So I pass to you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator and panelists. Well, basically, if you are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, it refers to SDG 4, which is the quality education. And I would say that there are basically we can have around 5 pillars that AI can be a catalytic force. Number one, I would say that there are tons of data-driven insights for the evidence-based educational policy making. So the ministry or the IPG or the university need to have that. How? Since we have a data, maybe from standard one, year one until form six, a kind of that, we can data mining, data analytics, which is part of the so-called AI power analytics, which can process this big data, or in Malay we call it data raya, not hantu raya, to identify hidden pattern, trends, and correlation which are impossible for humans to discern manually. For example, let's say if you make a survey, how many of you want to become a software engineering, or maybe some of them when you send a survey to Form 6 or Form 5, oh, I would like to be influencer, TikTokers, then you can see the pattern. So that's how you can have the data-driven insight. A kind of creativity and innovative for the administrator or the institution to do. Second, how to link this so-called SDG and Madani. Basically, the enable research that move beyond small-scale survey, let's say just now I mentioned, to a nationwide evidence-based insight. So what you can use basically maybe to check on the root causes, why they don't have any interest for the so-called STEM education, so a kind of that. So this is how, number one, on the evidence-based policy making, I think it's something that is, I would say that, as you mentioned by Dr. Hafiz, just is normal to use, but how basically we use it. Because Malaysia are moving on the so-called our digital transformations toward AI nation by 2030, my dear listeners, kind of that, and the panelists. Imagine by 2030, hi, how come? Are we ready to be there another 6 years, for example? So in terms of the educational research, number one, you go for the data-driven insights for the evidence-based policy making, or data-driven for the so-called decision-making, kind of that. So by having that, this directly support the SDG 4 and 1, I mean primary and secondary education and pendidikan madani, principle of merakyatkan pendidikan, which is maybe in English we call it democratizing the education by ensuring policies which target and equitable, leaving no child behind, as Prof. Jenny mentioned about maybe the so-called gifted children, maybe a kind of that, or in Malaysia we call it orang kurang upaya. Not so sure how to translate in English on this OKU. Second things, we are talking about the so-called, I believe in the education on the personalized and adaptive learning research. How? This is, I believe, a researcher, we know about that. Analyzing the individual students' data, their learning pace, their knowledge gap, preferred learning styles. Imagine, you are in the class. 20 minutes, they can focus on us. After 21 minutes, their body is there, their soul and their spirit is nowhere. Normally they have this ChatGPT, YouTube, TikTok. We are in front, we know that. But how is actually? So we need to see the pattern or style of those students to use. Maybe we can have a personalized AI. I believe most of the uni we have the personalized AI learning management system beside the current maybe like Web City, Moodle, kind of that. This is how the personalized and adaptive learning research. How to link? How to link this so-called SDG and the Madani? Okay. Before that, I would like to refresh about the so-called what is Madani? M-A-D-A-N-I. M is for the akhlak, ethics and morality. A, tanggap means responsiveness and agility. Agile. D, M-A-D, Madani. D means daya cipta, innovation and creativity, which related to your question just now. And then Mada. A means hormat, respect. And ihsan, compassion and excellence. And finally, I, usaha or integrity. So some people actually, when we run a survey also, they do not know what is actually the so-called Madani, Rakyat Madani, Negara Salam Madani. So is that the word of this Madani? Again, when we are talking about the SDG related to the Pendidikan Madani, particularly to the akhlak. Akhlak means just now I mentioned about the morality and also the kemahiran. Kemahiran skills which is related to the D just now. D in Malay, daya cipta or innovation and creativity. So how is actually to make them love or they like to study. For example, I believe most of you, when the students submit their assignment, even in programming, they can go to ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, they just put and everything. They can have the source code. To me, as a professor in IT, I say, okay, never mind. You can have to use that. You cannot stop them. I know that. But I said you must use with an ethical base. In fact, yesterday I have a talk with the Ministry of Digital. Malaysia, we're going to table the AI Act 2025-26, ACTA AI, which include the usage of ethics in usage of AI, mentioned just now. We are among the, I would say, country besides Japan. We follow maybe model of Japan. Europe is quite strict, EU lah, and then few other countries lah. So Malaysia is going to take the next step, how to control the usage with ethical manners. And in fact, in some, not some university, guideline from the Ministry of Higher Education as well, already engage us in the universities to have the AI Ethics Committee, which started by the Universiti Putra Malaysia, UPM. And I believe in Australia also, you do have this so-called ethics, because at the moment, in my faculty, we have around 600 international students, particularly from China. So they have their own, although they have these apps, very good, but sometimes they use the apps. And sometimes when they send the assignment, we know that they're using the maybe DeepSeek, ChatGPT. How is actually, I can encourage them, like maybe 15, 20 years ago, people are afraid to use the Google. Or some people said 30 years, 40 years ago, people don't want to watch television. And now we have this AI, whether you can use or misuse, abuse, whatever you can name it lah. So we cannot run away from this technology, as mentioned by Prof. Jenny and also Dr. Hafiz just now. So we cannot run away. That's why the efficiency, they encourage the student to use all with the ethics, creative usage, a kind of that. Okay, and number 4, I believe the point, I have 5, enhancing our education research on inclusive and accessible education. You don't talk about, maybe to say, you talk about this project, that project, whatever. Then your access coverage, in fact, just now happened to me in the UKM campus. Suddenly I cannot access the 4G or 5G kind of thing. We thought, oh, Malaysia will have 5G, 5th generation. Then I said, hello, sorry. Imagine that is on the environment of campus environment. So inclusiveness, you don't talk, maybe in Malaysia we have this kind of native, orang asli, or maybe in Australia we call it aborigines, or maybe you see the 5Gs, or some area, rural area in Sabah, Sarawak, or not going so far, maybe in some places, in Selangor, the so-called developed, or near the OPSI. I don't know, some kampungs, you talk very high level about all the research, but they cannot access. Even during the COVID, imagine, one phone shared by how many? If they are from a lower income, one phone, the teacher send the homework. Maybe father gave to the son or daughter 1 or 2 shared. They have no money to buy another 1 or 2 phone. Imagine, that is about the so-called inclusive and accessible education. So related to the Madani values just now, we have this adab and prihatin inside there. You can Google what is the Madani mentioned. And finally, we will check on the predictive analytics for early intervention system. That is very important. Why? We can predict some students at risk of education failure and now mental health. Remember, by 2030, I think it's maybe around 30% of the student or even the staff, they're going to have this mental health. Sorry, I cannot say maybe in UKM itself, also even the professors, they have this mental health. Imagine, not to say that, not professors, researchers, maybe stress issues and everything. So how we can detect them? Or this engagement long before this problem occurs or become critical. You must have the predictive analytics, or how maybe some of the students, they want to become TikToker, influencer. Imagine, before maybe it's okay, no problem to have become a social media influencer, whatever. But we must bring them towards the so-called creative, within the digital transformation framework, rather than we cannot control them through the ethics or through ethics committee at school, at ministry, and as well at the so-called what we call it school level. Okay, just to recap my just a bit of this is, first of all, the government or the stakeholder must invest in the infrastructure, 5G or data governance. Data governance is very important. Ensure secure, ethical, and integrated data. Now we are talking about the AI sovereignty, kedaulatan data. The server must be in the Malaysian soil, the data and everything. But we still buy the hardware from China or from NVIDIA of US. Imagine. Number one. Number two, again, build the capacity. Capacity. Skilling, upskilling, reskilling of the professors, lecturers, researchers. Some of them afraid, what is AI? They know only ChatGPT. Number one. And thirdly, again, we must focus on the ethics. This is the third key summary. Invest in infra and data governance, build the capacity, and focus on the ethics, the ethics manner. As I mentioned just now, maybe international student, not even international, local student as well, they are using. And I said, try to have your own insight, modify, edit, your own creativity again, on the so-called this usage of the AI. As mentioned, Dr. Hafiz, AI is only a tool. How you want to use the tools? I think that's all from me. Over to you, Madam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof, for the insights and for the 5 pillars that you have given in terms of transforming digital transformation in all levels, especially the organizations. I guess when we talk about digital transformation, it takes into account a lot of things, especially when we would like to go towards sustainable development goal. Okay, and of course we have Professor Jennifer here that will we talk about the people with disabilities and what Prof Nurhizam said just now, our concern on mental illness, especially when you are talking to the AI. Okay, so I guess that's the 2 rounds that we have, and I think that we should go and address any questions that the audience have for us. Let's see the few questions that we have. One is from Krishalini, and she's talking about the benefits of how do we ensure the benefits of AI in educational research are equitably distributed to prevent a digital divide and promoting the prosperity. I think what she's talking about is the what OECD Learning Compass 2030 is talking about too. That is the well-being of the communities of the world. So to reach the well-being, we need to address equity. So I think this question is suitable for Prof. Jennifer, although we are referring to the Malaysian context, but probably she can give some ideas from Australia about how do we how we address to prevent a digital divide.
Yes, this is a problem in Australia. I think it's also a problem in some parts of Malaysia. So I do some collaborative work in Malaysia on rural disability inclusion, because I also do that work in Australia. So in Australia, in rural areas, as you were saying before, Prof, there is a big divide in relation to who can access technology. And it's because, one, often in communities that are very poor, like you said, they can't afford a device. But also in Australia, there's huge areas that don't have easy access to the internet, and mobile phone coverage is very poor in some areas. And that means that we're in danger of creating a widening gap between, not necessarily in the context of people with disability and people who don't have disability, but even between people with disability. So we might say we're going to increase digital inclusion for people with disability so that they can access AI, and we're going to support people to access it. But then there's a group that just find it very difficult to even access the technology that we can utilize AI with. So I think there is a danger of perpetuating some existing divides in society through this. However, AI also offers us the ability, and I think in the near future, to really try and solve some of those digital divides as well through offering us more creative solutions to those issues. So I think that's helpful as well. I would think that this is something we need to take seriously, and not just leave it up to technology companies to address, because technology companies are often driven by profit rather than the common good of the population, or just the common good up to a certain extent. So they might promote the common good up to the extent where it's just going to cost a lot of money for them to try and support the common good. So I think there is a role for governments in Australia and internationally to address some of those problems, or we are going to have a group that is perpetually left behind as technologies move forward.
Okay, so thank you, Prof. I think it needs us to do more research, R&D on that too, especially when we would like to close the gap, and that is part of the digital transformation. Okay, so let us see another question. There is one interesting question by Shiro, and she asks about who owns the data and intellectual property generated or used by AI in the context of educational research. How can we ensure clear policies on data ownership? So I guess can we ask Prof. Nur Hizam to address that about the data ownership when AI is used in research?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, we are talking about the data ownership using AI in research. Basically, actually, is very, very I would say subjective of a coin of that. Particularly if you see that traditional research data ownership is often governed by a contract. Imagine it, by contract, by the IP law. However, imagine, however, if you see that this AI technology introduce some new layers of complexity. Maybe I would say 2-3 factors. Number one, the so-called derivative data creation, which AI doesn't just analyze the research data. It creates new synthetic or derived data. For example, anonymized data set, future embeddings, synthetic data. My question, who owns these AI-generated outputs? Back to your questions. Number one, I just throw back. The derivative data creation. Number two, the model as an asset. The model as asset. The trained AI model itself is a valuable asset. Its ownership is separate from, but dependent on the inputs data used to train. Remember, model as an asset. Thirdly, the multi-party inputs. You have many. AI research often involve data from multiple resources, from the ministry, from research, from University A, University B, blah, 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 everything from the schools. Each with different rights and licenses. Remember, yes, oh, this is my IP. Then finally, maybe unintentional memorization. Models which can memorize and regurgitate a kind of sensitive training data, which lead to the potential breaches of data subject rights and ownership. That is why one of the reasons in Malaysia, as I mentioned just now, we go to table in the parliament of this AI Act, just to see on this IP. That's why ChatGPT last time you see we have this open science, open AI, kind of that, to see the open, but do you think it's open or not? It's still a question on it. How to have that? Maybe just some idea from the research from me as the professors. We need to have a framework, kerangka, Malay word, framework for this navigating so-called, very good question, ownership. There is no one size fits all answer. Basically, number one, again, we go back to the traditional matters, proactive governance, clear contract, legal and contractual foundations. Remember on that, legal, maybe on the data use agreements, informed consent, reimagine. Normally, when you have the MOU, MOA, you will see that. Or maybe you can have a launch of open licenses, another example. Or maybe a broad collaboration, especially in our area, use standardized open license like Creative Commons, CC, or for data, or Apache 2.0 or MIT for the coding, programming normally, will simplify sharing and clarify rights of the parties. So that is the way on that. And then we can see that, as I mentioned earlier, governance and ethics. Maybe your college, your institute, you have the data governance committee to check who's right, anything. And then fair principle, FAIR, fair principle, ensure data is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Meaning to say you have a clear licensing and ownership rules which are essential to make the data truly fair, adil, in Malay word. And finally, maybe you have a board, ethical review board. So these boards must involve to understand the impact of AI. It's something, as I mentioned, AI is something, a new technology. Their review must now include questions about, just now you mentioned, data provenance, who own the data, who own the benefit, who own the profit, the money, monetary, model bias, long-term fit. Again, maybe just to recap, start with a clear contract. Better you just argue now before at the end of the project or research, even with your supervisor if you're doing PhD. Clear, number one. Number two, update consent form. Okay, sign a form. Okay, modernize informed consent, cover AI, future, blah, blah, user's case. Number three, maybe you have this embrace so-called privacy enhancing technology. Maybe you have some technology you can Google on the federated learning, for example. And you must default also to the transparency. That is must be very, very important. And finally, you assume collaboration plan for multi-party ownership from the start. Define the role, responsibility. Imagine, just to share with you, my faculty was given 8 million ringgit by the Ministry of Higher Education to upgrade or enhance the core so-called LLM AI Malay language related to your IPG. 6-month project, 8 million ringgit. Our stakeholders are the RTM, Dewan Bahasa, ITNN, and few parties or universities, even within the UKM itself. But within these 6 months, as I mentioned just now, I use again, okay, I'm the project patron, not the project leaders. I implement this data governance committee, fair principle, the ethical review, because I don't want at the end of the 6 months, you receive the 8 million, oh, this is my product, oh, your product, oh, then we are quarreling and arguing about something that we should, at the beginning of the project, to agree not to disagree, disagree to agree, whatever you name it lah. You quarrel first, my word a quarrel, and then that's it. Otherwise, you see, now you don't see the money. Normally people just relax. After, oh, someone subscribe to this, our LLM. Our LLM is more like poetry on this grammar of Malay, blah. Not really like the open, like ChatGPT. More on the Bahasa Melayu lah, Malay language. So that is actually based on my research experience lah within this 6-month project. Yeah. Oh, back to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Prof. That is valuable because it's from experience that you had. So thank you for the 5 tips. So I guess we have another question. We should open for another question from the audience. And I think this one is about plagiarism, I think. So I read the question. How do we establish and enforce ethical guidelines for using AI in research to prevent plagiarism, falsified data, and other forms of academic misconduct? So the question is more on academic misconduct. If Dr. Hafiz can respond to it.
Yes, sure. So this is something that has been talked about ever since the AI entered the scene, and the debate has been going on still, what to do and what not to do. And I believe multiple parties at different levels has or have a responsibility of looking into this matter. This rather, what do you call this? The academic misconduct. Yeah. Because without AI itself, we as a supervisor, we've caught so many students cheating in their essays and their drafts of research proposal, even in the stage of trying to come up with an idea. We can actually detect, dear students, okay. For all those of you who are listening, we as a lecturer and as a supervisor, we have the superpower to determine whether or not you are plagiarizing or not. Okay.
Right.
The trick is, I'm just really revealing just a small portion of how we detect you, because every written piece has its own voice, and we can actually detect the change of voice when we can pin down where the paragraphs that you've written your own, and where the paragraph begins when you copy and paste it. Yeah. So that's just one of the many ways that we can catch you. So this is prior to the age of AI, and the age of AI, complicates this a bit, the process a bit. But there are other tools out there that has been designed to actually hunt down, works and products that are generated by AI. So in terms of understanding or rather answering this question, how to establish and enforce ethical guidelines, I believe KPT has and KPM has already outlined a guideline, a form of rules and regulations as to how to actually conduct educational research or any research, in fact, and how AI can or cannot be used in those kind of processes. I mean, the study design and things like that. Even the publishers out there ask explicitly for the writers when they want to submit any journal articles to indicate if there's any use of AI tools when developing the papers or manuscript. So again, this is a very progressive area and still being debated and discussed. Uh, because uh, every time we found a way to detect plagiarism, detect data or products that are being developed by or generated by AI, there are different set of tools to game that kind of approach and also ways to detect. So it's more or less like an antivirus game. So a virus developer develop a virus, and an antivirus will develop an algorithm to detect that virus, and then the virus developer develop a different virus, and the cycle continues. And that's why the narratives, the this issue has been talked about and being talked about on and on, because there are, at times we can set a parameter, a clear guideline, but at the end of it boils down to one's own belief, one's own principles of doing this. Because we need to understand that this is something that I've lectured my students again and again when I found out they have plagiarized word by word from books. I ask them, I'll tell them, well, you can get your master's or even PhD by doing this if you've not been caught. But later on in your life, you will find that the work that you've done is meaningless. It's not something that you can be proud of. You can't say that, oh, okay, I've done this research on my own. You can say that, but deep down in your heart, you will know that you've done something wrong. And that bitter aftertaste is something that you will carry for the rest of your life. So my suggestion and my hope is that, yes, you may use AI in the process of study and your research. And we've talked about how to use it properly from 2:30 p.m. just now, how to actually use your metacognitive reflexivity, use your mind essentially to navigate this treacherous water. So uh, let's like what I said just now, there can be a lot of guidelines that has been laid down on you, but there will be things and tools to overcome that guidelines. That's why I said it boils down to every single one of us, our heart. Let's create a research community, a research practice that is true, that is ethical, and that is something that you can hold dear to your heart and say that I've done this, despite all of this, the ups and downs. I've done this on my own, and I'm proud of it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
how I
Okay.
can. address that.
Thank you, Dr. Hafiz. That sounds like a final thought from you too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it's true. We have been talking about the integrity of learning and research since I think it's about 2 hours right now. So I guess we have to conclude on what we have done today, and I think can I open the floor to Prof. Jennifer to give some final thoughts on what we have been discussing.
Okay, so just I think some summary of some of the points that we've looked at across all of our discussions. So I think maybe the first is about the great opportunity that we have for enhancing our work in relation to the use of AI, and that there's a lot of excitement in that. And there's a lot of different tools that are available, and that we need to take some time to think about what is actually available so that it can enhance the work that we do. But it comes with some caveats, and some of the caveats are around retaining the human elements in the work that we do in order to make sure that we're using AI in a way that makes sense in relation to, I suppose, the objects of our research. And that we're thinking through maybe some of the unintended consequences of the use of AI that might lead to our research not doing what we want with it. The second is around the trustworthiness of both AI and the way that people are using AI. And I think that last point about plagiarism is obviously a concern that we think about in universities a lot. I think actually what we've done is we've maybe improved some of our practices in relation to that, to try and think about how we can work with AI in order to get students to understand things in different dimensions, and to actually understand the value of the research that they're doing as part of their education, so that they think about, well, what am I trying to get out of this degree? It's not just degree, it's a set of knowledge. And I think that's something that all of us need to think about when we use AI. It's not a shortcut, it's a way of enhancing the knowledge that we are already pursuing in our research. So I think the discussion for me has been really valuable, because it's provided me with, I suppose, there's a lot of common concerns in an Australian and Malaysian context. And I think that having these types of conversations, we can start to build some answers from those common concerns by discussing them.
Okay, that's wonderful, Prof, because I think there are things that we can solve together collaboratively. Okay, so I guess the last final thoughts could be from Prof. Norazah.
Okay, thank you very much. Basically, I would say that just now I'm talking about the so-called Madani framework. Madani means civilized society. A civilized society, which I would say that related on how we use the so-called AI technology with an ethical manners. It's not about the use of misuse or abuse of that specific technology. Yet, within the ministry, the higher education institution, in your institute, for example, we must set up the so-called committee to monitor the quality of the research, of the publication, for example. And finally, in Malaysia, when we table the AI Act, I would say that although we have the Act, for example, but yet as a human being, as a human nature, we try to be our best of version to implement the so-called as a civilized people, or civilized, especially in the education world. That's my summary from my previous discussion on that. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So for the past 2 hours, this is actually at 4:30 right now. For the past 2 hours, we have been discussing, and it has been a wonderful discussion and conversation that we had, because our platform is actually to bridge the from theory to practice. So we hope that from what we spark off from our discussion, that we can open to other opportunities in other platforms where we can look into some practical ideas that we can solve in terms of what the issues that we have been talking about for the past 2 hours. Okay, so we had a truly enlightening discussion today, covering the immense potential of AI in educational research, the critical ethical considerations, the practical skills needed. Some of the practical skills come from Dr. Hafiz, who said that we should have a triangulation mindset. That is it really get into me. That is something that I will carry out from the discussion. And I'm the GPPI, the IPG Campus Bahasa Melayu. We feel very grateful to have these distinguished speakers from Australia, from UKM, from Malaysia, UKN, and UPSI. And we hope to have another session talking about more advanced AI in educational research. Sorry. So I want to extend, on behalf of my campus, a huge thank you to Professor Jennifer Smith-Mary, Professor Dr. Nurhizam Safi, and Dr. Muhammad Hafiz for sharing their valuable expertise, your insights, along with the wonderful questions from our live audience and some comments that I try to address. They have provided us with a comprehensive views of this evolving field. It's still progressive, and we are still exploring and try to find evidence on what works and what not. So thank you, all of you, for joining us today, and we look forward to the continued advancement of this important conversation. This concludes our panel discussion. Thank you again, Prof. Jennifer,
Thank you very much.
Prof. Nurhizam, and Dr. Hafiz. And from Malaysia, we would like to say you terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.